Hello everybody. We're back again today, and it's a bright, beautiful, sunny day out today. That's the good news. The bad news is that we're still in the pandemic, and everybody's still supposed to shelter at home and try not to go to the grocery store very often. And the fact is, there's rumors running around that there might be a food shortage this summer. So a lot of people are thinking about growing their own food. And not everyone has a lot of acreage or backyard or anywhere outside that's suitable for a garden. So today we're going to talk about gardening on a patio and on balconies in containers. There are lots and lots of plants that you can grow on the balconies and patios and in containers. And first of all, you have to look at your location. The area that you want to grow needs to have at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight a day. It needs to be sheltered from the wind because the containers will blow over easier than what you would think. And you have to consider your container size. Now, you could go to the store and buy all matching containers and everything in big sizes, because the bigger the better. But we don't have that luxury right now. Right now we have to use what we have on hand. And that can be a water jug cut down. It can be an old planter that you have around. Clean it out. Make sure it's got drainage hose in it and you're ready to go. Containers less than 10 inches in diameter should have at least one hole in the bottom. That's about a ½ inch in diameter to allow for drainage. And anything greater than 10 inches needs at least 4 holes. You should have at least 4 to 8 inches of dirt in the container for most plants. Now some of the ones will require more, like your carrots or potatoes. They would require 10 to 12 inches of soil depth. One thing you need to know is that if you do it in containers, you're going to have to water more often. The smaller the container, the more water you're going to have, more times you're going to have to water it. The larger containers can get by with watering it twice a week, unless it's super hot outside. If you have black pots, they're going to heat up faster than your white pots. So you'll have to water them a little bit more often. Okay. Once you get them established, you will have to fertilize them, which you don't have to do so much in the garden, but with pots you have to give them some food at least once a month. And this can be either organic food or the chemical food. It doesn't really matter, though both of them do a good job of feeding your plants. Now let's talk about what you can grow in different sizes. In a quart container, you can grow a few carrots. You have to have them the soil has to be at least 12 inches deep, or 2 inches deeper than what the length of the carrot is supposed to be. And you plant them about 8 to 12 inches apart, so you'd be planting one in a quart-sized container. You can also plant any of your small herbs, chives, anything that you're going to be using a lot and cutting back. Basil is great for smaller containers. Now move on up to the half gallon size. You can put 1 parsley. You can use some green onions. You can put some beets, probably about every 2 or 3 inches apart. A Swiss chard, leaf lettuce. And if you go up to the gallon size, which is your water things, you can put 1 cabbage, 2 dwarf cucumbers. You have to put a trellis up for them. 2 to 3 green beans, some leaf lettuce, spinach, a Swiss chard, a cherry tomato would fit into this. Or patio-sized tomatoes would fit into this. And you can get 1 pepper. Now if you go into a 2-gallon size, which would be probably a wastebasket with hose in it, you can go up to approximately 7 beets in it. You can plant carrots in any of these. Anything that you planted before in the quart or the ½ gallon or gallon, you can plant on up to the larger sizes. you can get 1 eggplant, 2 pepper plants, a celery plant, Swiss chard, 3 spinach plants, radishes. Plant those an inch to 2 inches apart and hoe every other one as you're harvesting. Summer squash, such as yellow neck squash and zucchinis. 2 asparagus plants. But remember, if you plant asparagus, you will not be harvesting it until the 2nd to 3rd year. Cabbage and 2 collards. Now, if you go up to the 3-gallon pot, you can get Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, a large pepper, green beans, mustard greens, spinach, a standard tomato plant, and kale. Now, if you go up to a 5-gallon bucket, you can go with potatoes. You can go with horseradish, sweet onions, more broccoli, 2 Brussels sprouts, cabbage and cucumbers, garlic, 2 kale plants, 18 leeks, a melon or pumpkin or squash. If you really have room and you can put it in a 10-gallon container, then you can grow green beans, okra, and rutabaga. And if you move up to 15 gallons, you can go with rutabaga, sweet potatoes, and turnips. Now let's say we're going to take your water jug. What you need to do is put 2 hoses in it, and the easiest way to do that is to heat a screwdriver up with the flame and just push it in and it'll melt right in. And then you cut it off approximately here so you have 8 inches of dirt. Okay? We just went over what you could all plant in the containers. Now let's talk about what we really would get the best return for our money to plant. And that would be the plants that are called come again plants. You cut them, you harvest them, and then they keep producing fruit. That would be your herbs, your Swiss chard, your leaf lettuce, cucumbers, spinach, tomatoes, eggplants, your squashes, summer squash like zucchini and yellow crooked squash, green beans, peas, strawberries. And if you get strawberries, they come in June and everberry. You really want the everberry ones because they have a longer season in which they produce crops. Kale and your broccoli and your okra. These all have long harvesting periods, whereas your beets and your carrots, you plant 1 little seed, you get 1 little beet or 1 little carrot. So you want to use get as much crops from your space that you can. And in a minute I'll show you what I've done. I've got all these that I'm going to show you I filled with 1 bag of potting soil. And that's another thing. You don't need to have fancy, don't buy topsoil. It doesn't have any nutrients in it whatsoever. Don't have to buy any raised bed soil or any special soil. Just get your potting soil and it will work fine for this project. So now we will show you what we've got. I've planted spinach in this one. I've got kale in the little black one. I've got broccoli rabe in the long tray. In my planter boxes, I have black seeded Simpson lettuce and big lettuce. And down here, I have my Swiss chard. And there is a lavender plant that I'm trying to bring back from last year. But if it doesn't do, that's no big deal because I have oodles of starts. This is just some of them. I've got more of them in the other room. Now what I also plan on doing is planting a squash in there. I'm going to get some 5-gallon buckets and put my tomatoes back there in the corner. So I hope you've learned something. I hope you have a safe day. And I hope you enjoy gardening. Bye.